you got to look both ways before you cross the street. Everybody's taking shots at us Caitlin Clark fans, the Chicago Sky vloggers, the content creators, the Angel Reese content creators are firing at us non-stop. We got to keep our head on a swivel, y'all. We got to keep our head on a swivel. Stephanie White's a bum and needs to be fired. That's what's going on. Did y'all see the interviews today? Sophie Cunningham just exposed Stephanie White. Flat out exposed her.
In a shocking turn of events that has rocked not only the Indiana Fever but the entire WNBA, veteran player Sophie Cunningham has publicly criticized her own head coach, Stephanie White, for what she described as performative support of rookie phenom Caitlin Clark. What began as a routine post-game press conference swiftly morphed into a league-shaking moment after White defended Clark, stating that she was facing a level of pressure no other rookie has ever faced. White's comments appeared well-intentioned, aimed at calming rising tensions surrounding Clark's treatment on the court. However, Cunningham wasn't convinced. Within days, she delivered a scathing assessment of the team's internal culture, accusing the coaching staff and her teammates of doing too little behind the scenes to protect Clark from the physical and emotional toll of constant targeting. Cunningham's remarks weren't vague or diplomatic, they were direct, impassioned, and pointedly critical. She suggested that behind the press conference platitudes, there was an absence of real accountability and protective action. This isn't merely an interpersonal dispute, it's a profound indictment of the Indiana Fever's leadership culture and a warning shot to the rest of the WNBA that image management cannot substitute for real solidarity. Her bold stand has transformed what many assumed was a typical rookie hazing period into a full-blown organizational crisis, one that has now triggered a broader conversation about how teams treat their emerging stars in an increasingly commercialized women's basketball landscape. Caitlin Clark, the first overall pick in the 2024 WNBA draft, entered the league as the most hyped women's basketball prospect in history. With a record-shattering college career at Iowa, a massive national following, and instant name recognition, Clark's transition into the WNBA brought unparalleled media attention, sellout crowds, and soaring merchandise sales. Yet with her fame came friction. Clark has faced aggressive physical play that borders on targeted bullying, flagrant fouls, elbows, and intentional body contact, all while absorbing snide commentary from players and even pundits who downplay her impact or accuse the media of overhyping her achievements. Unlike many rookies, Clark did not enter quietly, but to her credit, she has responded to the vitriol with silence and professionalism, focusing on her performance rather than engaging in public feuds. Still, that very silence has become controversial. Many observers see Clark's refusal to call out opponents or speak against poor officiating as admirable restraint, while others argue that it's left her vulnerable to unchecked abuse. That void is what Cunningham chose to fill. Her defense of Clark wasn't just about what happens during games, it was about everything happening around them. The whispers in the locker room, the lack of intervention from leadership, and the systemic failure to treat Clark like the star and asset she truly is. The rookie's story, once a tale of rising fame, has now evolved into a cautionary one: how even the brightest talent can be dimmed without proper institutional support. Sophie Cunningham's sudden and striking role as Clark's protector is rooted in her own journey through the league. Known for her tenacity, vocal presence, and fearless attitude, Cunningham has long held a reputation as a player who speaks her mind, no matter the consequences. Her years with the Phoenix Mercury toughened her. She knows the politics of WNBA locker rooms, the complexities of team dynamics, and how quickly narratives can be weaponized against you. Her arrival at Indiana was expected to add grit to a young team, but few anticipated she would become the moral compass. When she said, "It's one thing to defend her in front of cameras, it's another to protect her behind closed doors," the message was unmistakable. Cunningham was essentially calling out not only Stephanie White but the entire organizational structure of the Fever for paying lip service to Clark's protection without delivering tangible actions. For a player to say such things mere weeks into joining a team is virtually unheard of in professional sports. It suggests a level of dysfunction behind the scenes that fans and media rarely get to see. Cunningham didn't just defend Clark. She demanded the Fever live up to the image they project to the public, where support and unity are more than just buzzwords used in press conferences. Her critique is a reminder that in professional sports, silence from leadership can be just as loud as words words, and often far more damaging. The internal divide within the Fever, brought to light by Cunningham's comments, has reportedly been festering for months. Sources close to the team suggest that locker room dynamics have fractured, with some players viewing Clark as an entitled rookie who hasn't earned her stripes, while others see her as the catalyst for the league's recent surge in popularity. The word privilege has surfaced repeatedly in anonymous interviews, referring not only to Clark's race but also to the corporate partnerships, TV segments, and fan worship that have followed her since day one. In contrast, veterans who have grinded for years without fanfare feel overlooked. Cunningham's explosive comments forced this conflict into the open. The divide isn't just about playing time or personalities. It's a philosophical clash about what the WNBA is becoming and who deserves to be its face. Cunningham's remarks struck a chord not because they were controversial, but because they were honest. She voiced what many have whispered, that protecting Caitlin Clark is not just about guarding her from elbows. It's about recognizing that the league's future depends on how she's treated today. The Fever now sit at the center of this debate, and the team's handling of this delicate moment will either make them a model of modern sports leadership or a cautionary tale of what happens when internal issues go unaddressed. Stephanie White, once seen as a steady hand guiding the Fever through a challenging rebuild, is now under intense scrutiny. A former WNBA player herself, White has been praised for her basketball IQ and calm demeanor, but her response to Cunningham's remarks has been widely criticized as lacking substance. In her public statements, White maintained that she respected Sophie's perspective and reiterated her commitment to protecting all her players. Yet her failure to address the specific concerns raised and to outline any real plan of action was perceived by many as evasive. The language she used, while polished, felt generic and impersonal, leading fans and media figures alike to accuse her of issuing corporate speak rather than demonstrating true leadership. The contrast between her calm statements and Cunningham's raw, emotional critique couldn't be more stark. This incident has exposed a gap between White's leadership style and the kind of dynamic, responsive coaching today's athletes expect. In an era where authenticity and accountability matter more than ever, White's reluctance to engage the deeper cultural issues at play may ultimately undermine her credibility with both her team and the public. This is not just about tactics or rotations, it's about trust, values, and whether her players believe she truly has their backs when it counts. At the heart of this entire controversy lies a broader, more complex issue: the WNBA's evolving identity and the role race and media play in shaping public perception. Caitlin Clark's rise has undeniably attracted a new, younger, and notably wider fan base to women's basketball. While this influx of attention has boosted ratings and opened doors for sponsorships, it's also generated tension among players who feel their years of hard work and advocacy were ignored until someone who looked like Clark arrived. Some critics argue that the league has capitalized on Clark's popularity while failing to give the same support or recognition to black players who have been the backbone of the WNBA for decades. Cunningham's position as a white veteran who defends Clark adds layers of complexity. She is simultaneously acknowledging Clark's talent and the inequities in how stars are treated based on race and marketability. Her comments serve as a rare example of a player using their privilege not to protect their own image, but to shine a light on uncomfortable truths. This moment is forcing the WNBA to confront its own growing pains. How does it evolve commercially without abandoning its foundational values of inclusion, equity, and empowerment? And how does it create space for stars like Clark to thrive without alienating those who've paved the way? Despite the swirling controversy, Caitlin Clark has maintained a stoic silence throughout. Her refusal to publicly engage with the drama, whether out of discipline or strategic restraint, has only intensified the spotlight on her. Yet those close to the team note that Clark and Cunningham have grown exceptionally close behind the scenes. They're often seen working out together, sharing quiet moments before games, and coordinating on strategy during huddles. Cunningham's now viral Instagram story, "Protect What Matters," was interpreted by many as a direct reference to their bond. Insiders suggest that Clark, while outwardly composed, has leaned heavily on Cunningham for emotional and professional support. Their alliance symbolizes more than just friendship. It's a new form of leadership in women's sports, one built on solidarity accountability and mutual respect rather than hierarchy or fear. Clark may not be speaking out publicly, but her actions and associations speak volumes. She's letting her inner circle do the talking, trusting that her commitment to the game and her teammates will resonate louder than any press quote ever could. As the Indiana Fever navigate the fallout from Cunningham's public challenge, they find themselves at a critical crossroads. The remainder of their season now hinges not only on game performance, but on internal cohesion. If players rally around the call for accountability, it could galvanize the team and transform this crisis into a moment of growth. But if tensions continue to simmer, the fractures exposed by Cunningham could become irreparable. The Fever's front office must now decide whether to back their head coach unequivocally or explore ways to address the deeper issues that have been brought to light. Cunningham's role going forward also remains a question mark. Will she be embraced as a necessary truth-teller or sidelined for disrupting the status quo? Most importantly, what does all of this mean for Caitlin Clark's future with the franchise? If Indiana cannot demonstrate that it is capable of protecting and nurturing its biggest star, it risks losing her to a more stable environment. With so much on the line, the next few weeks could define the team's trajectory for years to come. Zooming out, this controversy transcends individual players and teams. It speaks to the WNBA's broader struggle to define its next era. The league stands on the brink of unprecedented visibility and commercial opportunity, but it must decide what kind of culture it wants to foster. Will it be a league where stars are allowed to shine only if they fit a certain mold, or one where diverse voices, styles, and backgrounds are celebrated and protected equally? Cunningham's explosive comments, far from being divisive, may be exactly the wake-up call the WNBA needs. They have sparked a national conversation not just about Caitlin Clark, but about how the league handles growth, tension, and transformation. The world is watching, the fans are speaking, and the players are demanding better.